Hello again. You join me in my van. I sound a little bit worse for wear because I've just come back from Butlins 80s weekend, and I think a bit of my soul died there. I'm going to a house I tested, so I'm going to do some remedials there. I've got 5 ring mains with 5 faults on them, so there's some open ends, there's some high readings, and that sort of thing. So I'm going to be trying to find them all today. I left I left one of my testers at home, but lucky enough I got my sharpening in the garage, so I've got that. I'll be taking you through some testing with that. Yeah, it should be a varied of faults, and I'll be using different methods to try and find them. Some of them are completely open, so I don't think they're ring mains anyway, but sorry, ring final circuits. But yeah, I'll get you inside and show you what we're working with. I've got a test sheet here. I'll show you this actually. Hang on. Right, so I've just got an old printed out sheet used for EICRs, and I don't know where I got a funeral pen from. Oh, it's the only pen I had. Okay, I'm not being morbid. But yeah, they're over 2 pages, which is an absolute pain in the butt. But so our first ring has a high earth reading. This one has open, live, and neutral. This is open all the way through. This has an open neutral, and this has a high earth. So I've just put the asterisks to know which ones I'm looking for. So I'm just going to be going through them. Some of them have got a few sockets on them. I think one of them has 25 points on it, which might be this one. No, this one. No. This one here, I think it's got an open, live, and neutral. But yeah, it's all on my laptop here, so I'm going to try and go through some of my fault finding methods, and yeah, hopefully we find them all. Or I could just look like a twat and find none of them. So let's find out. So this is our fuse board. These are the offended circuits. I've just put an X on them to easily identify them. This will be getting changed out for a double stack. But first circuit is kitchen sockets. We have an issue on the CPC, so there's a higher reading than normal, so we'll just remeasure them now. Okay, here's our board, and here's our circuits with the faults on them. So the kitchen one has been fixed. I might put a little short reel of me fixing it before this clip or after it. We'll wait and see. But yeah, that was at 99 and it's now down to 68. So that's all fixed. We're now onto the utility. Now this is a completely open ring. So how I'm going to find this, I'll draw out. Well, how I'm going to try and find it, I'm going to draw out for you now. So as it's a ring and it's broken in half, it's effectively 2 radials. So you've got one leg going from the board so far around this ring, and then you've got another leg going so far around this ring. So we've got 2 sockets on this side, a socket by the back door, an outside socket, and there's a socket in the cupboard. That's all I can find so far. So it's going to, at the minute, I've connected the leg together, live to earth. It could be live to neutral, could be neutral to earth, whatever's got the break in it, just basically to connect the radial together. And it's coming along here into this socket, and I'm getting a reading into this one, and then into this one, and then I don't get any more readings. And when I connect up the other leg, so these two, I'm getting a reading going to this one and to the outside socket. So somewhere between these 2 sockets there's a break. Now this could be a JB hidden somewhere, it could be absolutely anywhere, but it narrows it down. So say there was 10, 20 sockets in here, I don't have to take off any sockets. I already know that the break's between these two. So there's no need for me to go any further. I can now inspect this socket, see if there's anything going on at them, because the cables may have fell out. However, it's more than likely there's a point in between these that I can't find, or there's a JB or something going on there. That's the only good thing about ring final circuits. They don't fail safe. However, it gives you 2 bites of the pie. So if you did have a fault, you can get some of the sockets on. So yeah, I'm gonna whip off this socket and this socket and see if I can find anything. So I have a reading here, here, and then here. I took that off because I thought, what was that? But it's an old lighting point. And then I have on the other leg, a reading here. And a reading at this one. So that's where it's stopping, 0.09. So, I mean, this needs to be changed. You can see the blades, can you see that? It's open, the shutters have failed on it. There's no means of turning it off, so I am replacing this as part of my works, but I'm gonna whip this off and have a little look behind. Alas, no luck there. So we just got an in and out. It's a bit manky in there. It's definitely worth changing. So I've just had another look and I found one more socket. Hang on. So buried in here, we have another one. And the reading is slightly higher here, so it probably goes to the outside socket here, then back to here. So I'm gonna have a little look. Filming the floor. I'm just gonna have a look in this one, although it looks like it's gonna be rather difficult to get off. Okay, I finally got that socket off, and no joy. The break isn't at the point, so it looks like the ring goes to the outside socket, comes back into here, and then the break is between these two, so there and there. This is a flat roof and the cables are going down, so it's underneath this flooring, so there is no chance of me repairing that, unfortunately, which is a bit of a bummer. It would have been interesting to show, but I've got plenty more ring faults to try and find something interesting. But for this one, I'm going to have to reduce the circuit down to a 20 amp and make the cable safe that way. So it's a clean break, it's not a high resistance joint, so we can drop it down. Okay, on to the next circuit. So just to recap that circuit, it came down on this left hand side to the socket by the door, and the other one came along here to that socket, to the outside socket, to the one under the sink, and the break is between them two. So I believe it's under the floor. It is a flat roof, but all of the cables go down. So unfortunately, I can only make it safe. So that is now gone, and we have 2 radials. And I'll rectify that when I change the board over. But we're now going to go on to this circuit here, circuit 12, which is the biggest one. So this circuit has a break on the live and the neutral, but the earth is okay. So this is our circuit here. It's an original ring. The reason I take ring readings at a socket is because it's so much easier to identify them. So that's our red, one of them, and you're not going to be able to see it on camera, but I've traced it back and I can just see the base, and then I've wiggled the appropriate black, and then basically I have one's pointing up and one's pointing down. So that's one leg pointing up, and the other one is down, down, down. Reason why is because the black, you can't see a marker on it, otherwise I normally put a pen stripe on it. So I'm going to do the same principle again. The break is probably at the same socket, so I'm going to put a link between this live, this earth, and go around each point until it stops, and then repeat on the other leg. And then hopefully, if they both stop at a similar room or socket, then we can check that socket and the break should be there. Fingers crossed we find it this time. Right, you've joined me buried deep under a desk. I can't really take you around the property. I respect my customer's wishes. Basically, she said I can do some close-up filming, but she doesn't want her house being shown because you know there's pictures and whatever else, and I haven't got the editing skills to try and blur out things or anything like that. So I've gone round, and this point here between this lot, the reading stopped. So the reading stopped here and here, on each leg, and it was on both the live and neutrals. I was thinking the neutrals might stop in another place. It popped out. So I mean, this socket's damaged anyway, as you can see. So I'm going to whip this one off and see what I find behind there, and hopefully there's a break or something obvious, and then that'll be another one repaired. So let me get this socket off. Don't know how much you can see here, but basically with this method it just saves you taking off lots of points. Now you can use your Sparky intuition, because if you see a load of new USB sockets, odds are the customer's put it in themselves and they've messed it up, and you can kind of, there's some telltale signs, or there's a blatantly obvious socket that's been spurred off or something. But this way is effective, and it saves you a lot of labour trying to get points off and what have you. How's that come out? See, some DIY has gone on here, because that's a new one that's come into here. That's snapped off. I can only assume that it's been over tightened. Jeez. So sometimes people over tighten the terminals and it puts a kink in it, so when it's done and undone, it's in the way. I can only assume that when it's been tightened up, I don't know if you can see that on the camera. Can you see this dent? So that then becomes a weak point on the cable, and maybe when this was pushed back, maybe it snapped off, unless it was removed because there was a fault. Sometimes people just take it out because it was tripping out the RCD. I'll soon find out, although I didn't have any dodgy readings on it when I tested it. But let me put this back together and we'll test the ring and find out whether that's fixed it. Okay, that socket is now changed. I'm going to go down to the board and see if that's fixed the problem, or if I've just introduced another fault to the system. Fingers crossed it's the first one. Okay, the RCD hasn't banged off, so that's a good sign. Let's see if these are ring again. 109. 109. Check the births again. 175-ish. I don't actually know if you can see my screen on here because it's pretty dark. Oh, the reading doesn't stay there anyway. But it's now a ring, so I'm going to pop this all back together, get it back on, and test that socket because I changed it. Obviously, everyone makes mistakes. I could have got polarity wrong or something like that, so I'll make sure it's all tested and okay. But that is another ring fixed. So that's that socket plugged in. It's all on working. This is our live earth, live neutral voltage. See, there's a slight difference. Make sure this one's okay. Yeah. So I've managed to connect up a socket correctly. So I'm basically a first year apprentice level. We'll just test this at 12 milliamps. It's not very riveting staring at a screen, but nor is it staring at my face. Oh, this thing's broken. So our reading is 1.17. Now, eagle eye viewers will know that that's above the 80% value, but it's lower than the max permitted in the table. So you see it is a little bit on the high side, but this is going to be put on an RCBO once I change the board, and once I've tightened up all the connections in there and everything else, I imagine I'll be able to bring this whole value down, because I'm replacing a switch fuse at the incomer of the building as well, and I reckon I'll get the reading, the ZE down as well, so this will naturally come down. But you've got max tabulated and an 80% value. That is greater than the 80%. If there was no RCD in place, I might be a bit more concerned, but I'm not really concerned. 1.17. It's good enough for me. The next circuit has an issue with the neutral, which is in this room. So we're going to do the same again, split it apart, and we're going to just put one of the neutrals in with one of the earths, and we're going to go around until it stops and repeat. And then hopefully we'll identify what socket the break is at. Yeah, whenever I'm taking cables out of boards, I always, when it's on, just put my stick on it, because it normally pick up stuff. But it's important to know that these aren't for proven dead. Also, they work off some wizardry off your hands, because if I touch this, it comes on. David Savory did a video on the wizardry behind these things, and I don't know what it does with your body, but if you jam it in somewhere and take your hand away, they often stop working. But go watch David Savory stuff. He's much better at articulating the science behind it. Anyway, let's get into this. So this leg here goes to this point only. Stop in here. Can't really see that. And then it doesn't go anywhere else. The other leg, I'm getting a reading at that socket, that one. There's an outside socket on it as well, and that one. So it seems like it's between, that's got the highest reading, so between that one and that one, although it could be that's fuse spur next to it. So I'm going to have a little look over here. Okay, I've dropped this one, but I wish I was filming because it's a bit annoying I didn't catch it. But as soon as I dropped that, this reading came back, so I've left that plugged in over there, and it's just to monitor it as I'm working with it. So basically, if I fix it, the reading should appear on either leg. So that's on this one here. If I stick it on, should be a break, but the reading's back. So whatever I've done to disturb the piece here has rectified it. So that earth just popped out, but that's going to the spur. I think one of these was just about touching and is now touching. So I'm going to re-terminate those and test again. Now that they're separated, you can see the reading disappeared again. I touch these two back together. If I can do it one-handed. The readings come back. So it must have just been missing, and me pulling it off has disturbed the piece. So I'm going to re-terminate all of these and get it back together. So I haven't got a second crocodile clip, so it's a bit gangster, but 0.29, and when I tested it last time, where is it? It was broken here. So it's broken on the neutral, 3.1. So yeah, I've tested them all, and it's 2.9, 2.9, 5.2. So my last one is in this tiny cupboard. So there's a ring fault on one of the circuits in here. You can see they had to shape the door down. I'm trying to give you a perspective of how small this is. It's well, I couldn't fit in there, put it that way. Right, let me do the same again. I don't know if you can see that, but the shutters are open on that socket, so they're supposed to go back. I'll try to show you on that one. When the earth pin goes in, it presses this down and opens the shutter. God, all I'm filming is my hand. It should return, but the top one has something stuck in it. So this socket's going to be replaced. So I'm going to whip this off and get it changed, because it might be a case that the loose connection was behind here and it might fix it. I mean, I've been luckier. Hopefully it will. Hopefully this will fix it, but we'll have a look. I think I might be in luck. Ooh, it's from her. That's what it was biting down on. So it's like gone straight through. It's not actually just about biting on it. So that might have been the loose high connection. Let's put it back together. So I've managed to pull that out. You can see it's just an old earth terminal from an old plastic plug, but the shutters are a bit damaged. It looks like they're permanently damaged, but that's what it should be doing, springing back. And this is just the back of my hand. This is why the British sockets are the safest in the world. You can't get anything in them. If you've got one of those things to protect and you put it in there, you know, to cover the pins up, don't. This is the safest design. You can't get access to it. Like I showed you, you have to get a tool, get it in, press that down, and that opens the live parts. What happens is, on those, there's a website, I think it's called Fatally Flawed, and it shows you that these, because it's plastic, can snap off inside the pins and leave the shutters open. Or you stick them in upside down, and then it's really dangerous for children. But you can see it works perfectly well when it's not snapped off. Let me show you on an actual plug. So this is the sort of thing that a defending item, so it's plastic at the top, it snaps off, but the earth pin is longer, so it actually gets earthed before anything else. So the device is earthed before the live and neutral pin go in. You see the insulators on it. So this is to stop, if you've got really small hands, you can get your fingers round as you're plugging it in and just about get a belt off of it, but it means that the pin is completely insulated up to, so it has to be this far in before it touches a live part. So there's no chance of getting an electric shock. The old ones where these are uninsulated, they are a bit ropey and a bit dangerous. Also, a pound coin fits perfectly right between the three of them. Sorry, a penny. And as an apprentice, a cruel practical joke was played, and I ended up plugging one of those in with that in. It damn near blew my hand off, so don't do that at home. But they are really safe, and it's just people mucking about with them that make them unsafe, or those cheap plugs failing. So if you have got those plastic ones for chargers and stuff like that, my advice would be to put them into a 4-way plug, like on the floor, so it can't get knocked off the wall. And if it does break, you ain't got to replace the socket and get an electrician out. I know DIYers out there are happy to change sockets and bits and bobs, but you know, it's potentially your family you're putting at risk if you don't do it right. Right, it's a couple of days later, and my phone battery was low, had no lights, started feeling awful. So those ring faults are all sorted. Unfortunately, there wasn't that much I could show you with the restrictions. Obviously, I didn't want to show anything personal in the home, and they weren't that interesting, but you do what you can do. I'm actually halfway through changing this absolute monster board. The old one was buried quite deep. Yeah, and there was a lot of wall that fell away, but yeah, I'm changing this now. Anyone that knows me and worked for me knows that I'm a little bit of a mucky pup when I'm doing my work, so bless the mess. But I'll try and show you the finished product. And yeah, apologies for not showing you the last of that other one. I'm getting used to this, and I'm not that I don't know how people do it, just trying to remember what you have and haven't filmed if you don't do things in order. So kudos to everyone that does it, but mine's a bit run and gun. Anyway, I'll show you the finished product.
2,000 years later.
Right, that guy in the previous clip is a complete and utter liar. Now, if you look at me, you may recognise my ensemble and the location as the ending of another video, because what I've learned is that I'm terrible at remembering to film certain bits. So that job there, I was in such a blur and I was so sick, like so sick, I can't tell you. Honestly, I had like Butlins fever or whatever the hell it is. That's not a sexual disease, by the way. I was just so sick, and I didn't want to let my customer down, and I ploughed through the week, and you know, I mean, I got everything done, but my head weren't in it to try and remember to do this sort of stuff. So I ain't even got a picture of it. I would say, oh yeah, let me just put a picture up here. No, I didn't even get a picture of that fuse box. It was an absolute nightmare to change, by the way. And yeah, I worked very late. But yeah, I mean, hopefully you got something out of that, a bit of ring fault finding. I'm really hoping to up my game this year. It's 2025 now, as I film this. and just get a bit more organized with the videos. But you got to understand that I'm trying to grow a business. Like, I am an electrician who tries to do a bit of teaching content on here. I am not a influencer that does some electrics on the side. So that's not me casting shade at anyone. I'm just saying that I'm not a successful influencer and I never want to be. So yeah, please respect the fact that this is a little side bit and I'm really shit at remembering to record stuff. So anyway, yeah, hopefully you got something out of that, and I'll catch you in the next one.